Welcome, everybody. It's Thursday, January 15th. We are previewing Divisional Round Weekend. Doesn't sound as good as Wild Card Weekend, but we're previewing this weekend's games. 4 good games, hopefully. Welcome to Fantasy Football Today, presented by BetMGM. Make it legendary. We're also giving you our top 12 wide receivers for 2026. Weird day. I'm very thrown off. First of all, Heath is here, which has been 2 weeks. Hey, Heath.
Hey, what's up?
Jamie's wearing glasses. Can't even deal with that, right? I don't even know. Very strange. I don't think it's been a long time since I've seen you wearing glasses. So, hey, Jamie.
Hey.
What's up, nerd? And Dave is Dave. You look normal.
Must be the off season.
Heath, how does it feel to know that the Giants have a better coach and quarterback than the Chiefs?
That's a stunning way to return, but it's nice. It also kind of makes me feel at home again. You go away for a while and you come back and you want things to just be normal. And I've got Azer Bad Takes welcoming me back on the show. Do the Giants even currently have a coach right now?
No, not at the moment, but
okay.
It's imminent, apparently. It's imminent.
Yeah.
So we'll start with that. We got some news, and then we'll get into the wide receivers, and then we'll give you some DFS lineups, tell you what we think about the games this weekend. Actually, let me do a quick, what do we think about the game? Let's go Bills, Broncos. Who's going to win?
Buffalo.
Bills.
No. I told you yesterday. It's Denver. Niners, Seahawks.
Seattle.
Seahawks.
Niners.
Seattle. Oh, Heath. Ooh. Wow.
We don't have a consensus yet.
Taking a 7-point dog. I think we're going to have a consensus here. Patriots, Texans.
Patriots.
Texans.
Patriots.
Heath, go back to vacation. Patriots. Rams, Bears.
I think if by the way, if I saw it correctly, if the Texans win, it'd be the first time that a team would host a conference championship game without having hosted a game prior to that.
Sounds right. Yep.
Oh, really?
If the Texans and the Bills win.
Right. Both road teams have to win.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Rams, Bears.
Rams.
Rams.
Yeah, Rams. Okay, consensus. Look at this. Is a funny comment. Who's the young new host in the top right corner? You do look so
I wish I could move myself to the left corner.
No, I won't allow that. But yeah, you're clean shaven. You got this fresh haircut.
Yeah.
New Heath 2026 version. All right. Anyway, news and notes. So the Giants are close to hiring John Harbaugh, who reportedly will have Todd Monken as his offensive coordinator. Monken was the offensive coordinator for Baltimore each of the last 2 seasons. Pretty good offensively whenever Lamar Jackson was healthy. All right, Jamie.
Scale of 1 to Lawrence Taylor. How excited are you?
56. Yeah, I think it's great. You know, but the question for fantasy is, how do we feel about Todd Monken? The personnel is so different, Giants versus Ravens. But Jamie, how do you feel about this for the Giants?
I think, as we've kind of said since the coaching cycle started, and we've been talking about this, this was one of the more attractive jobs, and the personnel, at least for me, was really not going to be how I felt about them for fantasy. Really wasn't going to be determined so much by the coach. It was going to either enhance it or kind of keep it at the same. And I don't think there was anybody that they were going to hire, at least in my mind, that was going to be a huge, oh my God, this is awful. Maybe Arthur Smith. But in the case of Harbaugh and Monken, I mean, Jackson Dart, as we've noted, is a consensus top 12 quarterback across the board. I don't think that's going to change, whether he's 4, I think was the highest, or 8 to 10, somewhere in that range, the lowest. He's going to be drafted as a number 1 quarterback. Scatterboo led all rookies in points per game, was awesome in the 6 games that he had double digits in touches, averaged over 19 PPR points per game during that span. So a lot of things to love about his situation if he's healthy. And Neighbors, who, as we know, you called one of our colleagues, Heath, missed this one. But we've been debating, should Malik Neighbors be a first-round pick or, early second-round pick? And Miron, who, Keith, I'm sure you can speak to this, is one of our best drafters and best fantasy players.
Yep.
Adam called him a bumbling moron. So we had Miron on yesterday to defend his honor. So I suggest anybody who missed that episode, go back and watch. But in any event, so Neighbors in our 2 drafts has gone in the first round. I think everybody's excited about Malik Neighbors and the upside of what he can be, except for the Giants fan. But if Neighbors is healthy, he's going to be a top 24 overall pick. So hopefully those 3 guys are all good to go because we know they've had injury situations. So it's really going to come down to, do they bring back Wan'Dale Robinson? Do they draft another wide receiver? I've already seen some mock drafts where Giants are taking a wide receiver. You talked about that a lot, Adam. What will happen with the tight end situation, because we know it's a big part of what Todd Monken likes to do. So there's just a lot to love about everything that the Giants are going to look like in 2026 if everybody's healthy.
Maroon's kind of like Bizarro Adam, right? Like kind of a similar look, kind of a similar build, better at fantasy football, much more attractive and smarter.
And both Hurricanes.
And really, really nice.
And both Hurricanes.
This doesn't sound like Bizarro. It just sounds like better.
You're Bizarro Marone.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what it is. Heath, would you take Malik Neighbors in the first round?
Probably not.
Yeah, good for you. Smart man. All right, so that's the first coaching domino to fall. Steelers owner Art Rooney said
Has it fallen yet?
No, you're right.
It's in the process.
It's the first one to be reported that a coach has taken a job.
Yeah. Pittsburgh's owner said that Mike Tomlin stepping down could affect Aaron Rodgers' decision for 2026. Rodgers, liked playing for Mike Tomlin, so good chance that he is not on the Steelers and good chance he retires. Adam Thielen retired. Oregon quarterback Dante Moore had a good chance to be maybe even the second pick in the draft. He's returning to Oregon for the 2026 season. The Jaguars, Dave, are going to use Travis Hunter on both sides of the ball. We've talked about this. And they also talked about how he was coming on, and before his injury, they planned on getting him more involved. And we saw he had this huge game against the Rams.
Yep.
So what do you think about the possibility of Hunter being the best Jaguars wide receiver next season?
If I were them, I wouldn't rush to that. I would just hope that he gets healthy first and then see what the offseason brings as far as the secondary goes. But I would imagine that if they bring back their receiving core as it stands now, they don't need to put Travis Hunter on the field for 60 offensive plays a game, but they should definitely use him for 60 defensive plays a game and then maybe 20 offensive plays on top of that. So I would still expect him to play both ways, but certainly more on defense than offense at this point.
We have something in the chat. There are reports that Harbaugh went into the Giants meeting wearing a nose strip. Even when Schneier's not here, we're taking shots. I love it.
How about I texted Adam and Dan last night when the news was announced, and only one of them replied to me.
I was sleeping, believe it or not. What, that was after midnight you texted, right?
Whenever it was reported, yeah.
Yeah, I was sleeping. Sorry about that.
I figured you'd be watching like some rerun of something
not
on Paramount Plus. That would be terrible.
I was watching the stupid Knicks lose again, but I fell asleep.
Yeah.
From that. Buffalo safety Jordan Poyer, cornerback Maxwell Harrison, they missed practice. Patriots cornerback, this is good news. Patriots cornerback Christian Gonzalez, he's in the concussion protocol, but he was limited, so he's got a chance to play against Houston. It doesn't look like Nico Collins is going to play, though. He missed practice. Defensive lineman Danico Autry also missed practice. Jawar Jordan was limited for Houston. For San Francisco, Ricky Pearsall was limited. I have him in a DFS lineup, hoping that Pearsall plays. 2 good games in a row for him. It's been a little while. Also, they were very easy matchups. This is a very tough matchup for him. And linebacker Fred Warner, I talked about him maybe coming back next week on yesterday's show. He hasn't ruled himself out for this week. It does seem like a long shot, though, at Seattle on Saturday. For Seattle, left tackle Charles Cross, he was full participant on Tuesday. He was limited on Wednesday. Linebacker Tyrese Knight, cornerback Reek Woolen, they were both limited as well. And Rams tight end Terrence Ferguson was listed as a full participant in the Rams walkthrough for their Sunday game at Chicago. We'll see how that affects Colby Parkinson. And, they'll just start any tight end, that team. All right, so that's your news and notes. Heath, how was your vacation?
It was really fantastic. Went up to Tennessee, visited my son for a bit. My brother was in town, so I got to hang out with him a little bit. Watched season 1 of The Wire because I'd never watched that.
Ooh.
So that's obviously fantastic.
Oh, you like it?
What do you mean? Oh, I like it.
I found it to be so boring and couldn't get through half of the season.
That is
Yeah.
going on the list.
No,
2026, Azer's first take, so boring, couldn't make it through half a season.
I think that's been well noted on
Yeah.
our mailbag because
Yeah.
Dan is a big Wire fan. So
But it's not on the list.
it's well documented, though. It's well documented. Yeah. I would like to give it another try. I would. But I was telling them yesterday I finished season 4 of Mayor of Kingstown.
Mhm.
And that's more my show. Like that, The Wire is too slow. Mayor of Kingstown is what I need, the action packed.
You don't really like development.
No.
Like you don't like building to things. You just like to see things blow up every episode.
Oh, where are you at in The Sopranos?
Where I was 6 months ago,
Oh, you
4
suck.
episodes in or so. I've heard. All right, listen, it's time for football at BetMGM. When you register with BetMGM, you're going to get instant access to a variety of parlay selection features, live betting options, boost tokens, and the best daily promotions in the business. And when you huddle up with BetMGM at your fingertips, every pass, every catch, and every game matter more than ever. So football is here. Don't miss out on any of the hard-hitting action. Place your money line, prop, and parlay bets with BetMGM today. Let's get into our top 12 wide receivers. And why don't we go with our top 3 here? So everybody got their list ready? Everybody good to go?
Oh, no.
As
There you go.
good to go as
There it
you
is.
can get.
There's my list that I sent to you for sure.
And where's Dave's? Dave will also have Puka Nacua number 1. You have Puka number 1, Dave?
Of course.
All right. So everyone's got Puka. I have Jamar Chase. Jamie has Jamar Chase. Heath has JSN. Dave, what's your top 3, Dave?
Puka Nacua is number 1. Jamar Chase is number 2. Jackson Smith and Jigba is number 3.
Okay. So we have a consensus top 3. Puka, Chase, JSN. The exception being Heath has JSN over Chase. Want to get into that or no?
Yeah, I don't think that there is really that big of a point of argument between those 3 guys. I think it's kind of comes down to personal preference. Obviously, JSN was about 2 points per game better this year. If Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are able to play 17 games, then I wouldn't be that surprised if Chase was better, but we haven't got a whole lot of those seasons.
Okay. 1 through 3 is kind of boring. So not boring.
I
Easy.
I think I mentioned this yesterday. Heath, of the 6 of us that did the rankings, again, you could see them all on the site: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and the top 24. Heath is the only one that has the 3 wide receivers as his first 3 overall picks.
Hey, there we go.
You want to talk about that? That's cool.
Yeah. At some point, we're going to go back to the norm where the wide receivers don't all get hurt and the top elite running backs don't all stay healthy.
Okay.
So there were 7 players last year that averaged 20 PPR points per game or more, non-quarterbacks. Only 2 were wide receivers. So if you are looking at it like, okay, I want to get some position scarcity, maybe at the top, it makes some sense to lean into those wide receivers.
There is a great debate going on in the chat right now, and I'm going to tell you about it when we come back. So 1 through 3 is Puka, Jamar Chase, JSN for me, Jamie, and Dave. Puka, JSN, Jamar Chase for Heath. And when we come back, we will talk about who's number 4. Where's CeeDee Lamb? CeeDee Lamb, he came back in week 7. He was worse than George Pickens from week 7 through week 17, not even factoring week 18 when they played a half. So why is he a top 5 guy? We'll talk about all that when we come back on Fantasy Football Today.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
So in the chat right now, people are asking, they know the TV shows I've been watching, but what was the last book that I read cover to cover? And
I'm going to go with
where the Wild Things are. NA. C-Spot Run, Kama Sutra, The Client, War and Peace. No,
you have no idea.
No, I know what it is. It was Scar Tissue, which is Anthony Kiedis's autobiography, which, the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. That was the last book I read. The one before that was a book called Kane Mutiny by Bruce Feldman. And before that, it was Beowulf in high school, I think. which was the only book I read start to finish in high school, I would say. So big Cliff Notes guy. I read a lot of I don't know if that counts, but a lot of Cliff Notes cover to cover, though.
You seem like a Kama Sutra kind of guy.
Thanks, Jamie. That's only the weirdest thing you've ever said to me. What was
The fact that you clicked on it was a little surprising.
The last book you guys read cover to cover?
For me, it's Bad Blood Sisters by Sarah Lynn Richard.
That doesn't count. That's
yes, it does. It's a mystery novel
by your mom. Your mom wrote it.
You can buy all of Sarah Lynn Richard's amazing mystery novels at palmcirclepress.com.
I finished Into the Heart of Romans a couple days ago.
Oh, I read that in middle school,
right.
So right. I wasn't going to count that. Jamie?
Travel Team by Mike Lupica.
Oh, cool. All right. Let's go to 4 through 6 in our wide receiver rankings. Dave, what do you got?
I've got Amon-Ra St. Brown 4th, followed by CeeDee Lamb, who's a placeholder for me at 5. And Malik Neighbors, assuming that he's healthy, Adam. There he is. He's at number 6 for me.
Okay, so Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors, 4 through 6 for Dave. Jamie goes Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Rashee Rice. Heath goes Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Drake London. I went CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Drake London. So you've got St. Brown and Lamb for all of us at either 4 or 5. And then either Neighbors for Dave, London for me and Heath, Rashee Rice for Jamie. Okay, so same 5 names in the top 5. You go ahead, Heath.
No, I was just thinking because I saw Jamie's quote tweet either this morning or last night. I'm just getting back on Twitter also, but how far off this list does Amon-Ra St. Brown fall if Arthur Smith is the offensive coordinator for the Lions?
I wonder. Well, first off, I don't think that happens, but let's hope that doesn't happen. If that does happen, I wonder how much of Dan Campbell still calling plays remains, or at some point that he takes over play calling. Because, I mean, look, there's a lot of good things that Arthur Smith does. There's a lot of wacky things that Arthur Smith does. Arthur Smith has never had this type of talent to deal with before either. So he's never had great quarterback, great running back, great wide receiver, great wide receivers, great tight end. It's always been one or two of sort of everything. Tennessee, he had great running back, mediocre quarterback. Atlanta, he had mediocre quarterbacks. Pittsburgh, obviously aging quarterback. So I'd want to give him the benefit of the doubt if he takes this job. But as we discussed yesterday, like when you rank the head coaching jobs and the offense coordinator jobs, you can make a case that the Lions offense coordinator job is better than some of the head coaching jobs. So I hope Arthur Smith is not the offense coordinator of the Lions. I don't think Amon-Ra St. Brown will fall too far, though, to answer your question.
So the debate, well, actually, let's talk about Lamb real quick here. It's week 17, he came back from injury.
Week 7.
Sorry, yeah. Week 7 through 17. I didn't count week 18. He only had 1 catch in week 18. He was having a bad game, but they pulled him at halftime. So anyway, week 7 through 17, CeeDee Lamb was the number 12 wide receiver per game. George Pickens was CeeDee Lamb was the number 14 wide receiver per game. Pickens was wide receiver 12 per game. Lamb was on pace for 156 targets. Pickens on pace for 146 targets. And Lamb had a 26% target per route run rate, which is really good, but it was over 29%. It was 29% basically each of the previous 2 seasons. So definitely I think you could say George Pickens affected CeeDee Lamb. The biggest issue was he had a bunch of end zone targets in those games, but he only had 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns from week 7 through 17. So I have him 4th. Dave has him 4th or 5th.
I have him 5th. And he's
Everybody
a
else has
placeholder
him
for
5th.
me, Adam. Like I don't know. I don't really know who my 5th favorite wide receiver is. It was Rashee Rice, but now with this domestic violence thing hanging over his head, I don't know if I feel good taking him as a top 5 wide receiver. I don't know if I feel good taking him as a top 12 wide receiver. Obviously, if he didn't have that, this is probably where he'd be. But I don't know if there's another wide receiver for me. Once you get past the super studs of Nakua, Chase, JSN, St. Brown, that I can look at and say, okay, here's somebody who's got a shot at 20 PPR points per game. If they can't hit that, then they'll fall just behind it, maybe in that 18 PPR range. I don't love this position. I think that it's deep, but it's really, really lean at the top.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, how many guys are first round picks? Because, 5, 6. Well, I'll see who wide receiver 7 is.
I think we've seen 6 go in the 2 drafts.
Yep.
Yeah. One of them is Neighbors, and that's obviously really stupid. So,
I do think if Pickens is off the Cowboys and leaves as a free agent, I would probably put him 4th ahead of St. Brown.
Pickens is okay.
Right. Where
If
if
not
Lamb is back to being like 12 targets per game, you can make the case that he could be number 1.
Well, that's where he was last year. So
Yep.
I was sorry, he was
Exactly.
2 last year behind Chase. He was number 1 2 years ago.
By the way, when did we do these rankings? I mean, I did them in week 18, right?
December.
Yeah, these have not been updated except for Dave's, which is why Thomas refuses to do graphics for Dave's.
Drake London, Heath, first 9. He played 12 games. First 9 games, he was the number 3 wide receiver per game. He was on pace for 178 targets, 113 catches, over 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns. The last 3 games were really bad. For week 18 was fine for London, was good, but he got off to a slow start. Then he was amazing. So you and I have him 6th. Talk about
I think that like as Dave was saying, once you get past the top 4 or 5, depending on how you feel about Lamb, there's a lot of guys that could end up in that 4, 5, 6 range. London's definitely one of them. We need to figure out what his quarterback situation is going into this year. And that will probably, and that's kind of been the story of Drake London's career, right? We've thought he was an elite fantasy wide receiver. He showed us that for 6 or 7 weeks this past year. And hopefully we get it for 17 weeks next year.
He also may lose Kyle Pitts, which could be a plus.
All right, let's go to 7 through 9 in our wide receiver rankings here. We've got Rashid. Well, Dave, you're not on the graph. If anybody's watching, we have these, displayed for you beautifully. But Dave, what's your 7 through 9?
Drake London is 7th for me. Nico Collins is 8th, and Chris Olave is 9th.
All right, it's going to get a little interesting here because everyone's got Rashee Rice and London in there. Well, actually, Dave, you don't. Where do
I
you
don't have
Rashee?
Rice. I've
Okay.
moved him down.
You probably had him there in week 18, but
I just told you I had him at 5.
you're at 5. Okay,
I think I had him at
Serpent's
5.
got
Yeah.
Rice and London in their top 7. Dave moved Rice down, but then after that, I've got Rice 7, AJ Brown 8, Malik Neighbors 9. I'm move Neighbors down right now. Heath has Rice, Neighbors, Nico. Jamie has London, Neighbors, Nico. So, Nico, I don't even know, Jamie. I don't even know what to make of Nico Collins. Interesting player this year. Disappointing season. Terrible game last week, even before the concussion. But he's top 10 for everybody. Top 9. What do you think about him? Oh, no, I'm 11th. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He still finished the season, I believe, in the top 12, right at the cusp of it. So it was disappointing. And clearly they have some young receivers that I'm expecting to get better. Plus, it was a better season for Dalton Schultz and a very interesting season for them running the ball where they gave a lot of carries to their backfield, but it just wasn't very successful. You also had CJ Stroud miss some time once again due to injury. So we'll see how that sort of impacts the entirety of Nico Collins for 2026. But he's still the best receiver on that team. I think he still has the opportunity to get better from what we saw from a production standpoint in 2025, hopefully get back to the level of 2024. He feels like he's been a little bit of a tease because we've gotten some great moments. We've gotten some great stretches. We haven't gotten, I think, the full body of work since 2023. So I still value him as a top 12 guy, but I think he's in this group that we've kind of just been discussing. There's a lot to love about Nico Collins, but you're still a little bit uncertain. So when you get to that round 2 range and you took a running back in round 1 and you want to go wide receiver there, or if you want to go wide receiver, I think he's in that group. I don't think he should be drafted in the first round though, which is where he was getting taken last year.
I have AJ Brown 8th. Jamie has AJ Brown 10th. Dave, do you have AJ Brown in your top 12?
I do not.
And neither does Heath. Heath, why not?
If it's again another one of those guys who certainly has the talent to be ranked that high, and depending on how the offseason works out, could be ranked that high. I'm just tired of seeing the Eagles ahead in games and him on the sideline yelling at people or getting yelled at. And he wasn't quite the same guy at times this year either. So He is probably the oldest guy in this group.
Yes.
29 next year.
29. Age 29 season on deck.
And we don't know for sure where he's going to be playing. So it's possible that he ends up at the bottom of this top 12, but just a few too many warning signs for me to feel really comfortable with him there now.
So obviously where he plays, and I think the offense coordinator matters a lot here, because Sirianni doesn't appear to be going anywhere. And so do they get a Mike McDaniel? Do they get somebody who's going to be a lot more creative than what we saw with Kevin Patullo? Hopefully that's the case. I can't imagine it's going to be worse. The one thing about A.J. Brown that I go back to, and we talked about this a little bit on the winners and losers from the weekend, Adam, but in 4 of his final 6 games, he scored 16 PPR points or more for regular season games. He averaged 19.8 PPR points over that span. So when he was on, he was really on and borderline elite. And so when you look at this team and still what they have to offer, and I know, Heath, obviously you're a big Jalen Hurts defender, as very few people are at this point. But I still think he's a very good quarterback and can get A.J. Brown the numbers that he needs, because this was his worst season in Philadelphia since joining the team in 2022. Is he on the decline? Probably so. I think that's fair to say for a guy that's going to be 29. But can he still put up, top 10 numbers, top 12 numbers, maybe even top 5 numbers like we've seen in the first 3 years of his, tenure there, right? 23. Yeah. First 3 years of his tenure there. I think so, but it's just a matter of, again, where does he sort of come in line with this group? Because I'm going to guess, for those of you guys that don't have him ranked, and Adam, you and I were the only ones that have him ranked as a top 12 receiver. Probably not far off, right? So top 15, so we're talking about round 3 is where his most likely value will settle. He may end up being just a great value pick if everything is sort of pointing in the right direction for Philadelphia, especially if they're going to be a little bit more aggressive throwing the ball.
Did you all feel like it was harder to do a top 12 wide receiver list than running back?
It wasn't as much fun. So, yes.
Yeah, I agree. I was like begrudgingly putting guys in my top 12, whereas I was begrudgingly leaving guys out of my top 12 at running back. There were a lot of good candidates.
We talked about Nico Collins finishing as a top 12 wide receiver. He did. On a per game basis, he averaged 15.1. That was 10th best. And I don't think we're used to that type of number being 10th best among wide receivers in fantasy. It goes back to it being a very top heavy position, like I talked about. And then there are so many players who kind of disappointed us for one reason or another. It might not have been their fault. Could have been injuries, could have been bad quarterback play. There were too many quarterbacks too many wide receivers that didn't take advantage of the volume that they got, or didn't get enough volume to put them over the top of a 15 PPR average. And if that's going to continue to happen in fantasy, then it's going to be really hard to love drafting wide receivers in the early middle rounds for sure.
15.1 PPR fantasy points per game for Nico Collins.
Yeah.
You said 10th. I have him 11th, whatever it is per game. That's top 12. Last year, 2024, would have been wide receiver 19.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. All right, just give me one more time. Give me 7 through 9, Dave.
London, Nico, Olave.
Jamie.
London, Neighbors, Nico.
Heath.
Rice, Neighbors, Nico.
And you have London in your top 6, as do I. And I have Rice, A.J. Brown, Malik Neighbors. Okay, 10 through 12. Dave, kick it off.
Justin Jefferson is 10th. Rashee Rice is 11th. Garrett Wilson is 12th.
Jefferson, Rice, Wilson. Heath.
Olave, Jefferson, Wilson.
Jefferson, Wilson. Jamie.
Brown, Olave, Wilson.
And for me, it was Jefferson, Nico Collins, T. Higgins.
There's a pretty big consensus. It sounds like there's maybe 10 receivers that are in all of our top 12s.
Those are?
I mean, the studs at the top. Lamb, Neighbors, London. Sounds like Olave is in all our top 12s. Nico's in all our top 12s.
No, I think there's 9 guys, Dave.
9?
Jefferson. Not Olave.
Okay. I don't know why.
Yeah, you and Heath don't have Brown.
We don't have Brown. Right. Do we all have Rice top 12?
Huh?
Yes, we all have Rice. We all have Rice. We all have Neighbors. We all have London. We all have Nico. Plus Chase, JSN, Puka, Lamb.
Adam doesn't have
Brown.
Wilson.
Yeah, I don't have Garrett Wilson or Olave. They just missed the cut. I don't really have a great reason for this, except Garrett Wilson's played 4 seasons. His first 3, I think he had 140 or more targets all 3 seasons. He got off to a great start. Great start with Justin Fields, but they could have another horrible quarterback situation. And what's real? The half a season he played with Justin Fields or the first 3 seasons for Garrett Wilson? Certainly could see him being a top 12 receiver. I mean, he might be 13 or probably 13 or 14 for me.
Like, and he ended up actually being ranked pretty high when he was playing early in the year, right?
What do you
mean,
mean?
like in our rankings? Yeah.
No, I mean like on a per game basis.
Oh, he was top 5.
Yeah, 19 PPR points per game in his first 5 games.
Yeah, he was amazing. And to your point, Adam, yes, he could have a worse quarterback situation. I don't know if that was a great quarterback situation.
Oh,
though.
not at all.
No.
No, not at all.
Let's
He hasn't
get
had that yet.
Jameis to the Jets.
Sure. And then Olave, I don't know. I prefer Jefferson. I prefer T. Higgins. I assume, Jamie, I was the only one who had Higgins.
You were the only one that had Higgins, yes.
Yeah. I know exactly what T. Higgins is when Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are healthy. T. Higgins is going to be about 14 to 15 PPR fantasy points per game in all likelihood, but with the potential for a lot more, as we saw in 2024. So that was my case. All right, Heath, you want to talk about Olave and Garrett Wilson? You have them 10 and 12. You have Justin Jefferson 11.
It's young wide receivers who we know are really good. We feel better about Olave's quarterback situation than we do Wilson's at this point. So, because we know who Olave's quarterback's going to be at this point. So it's the Kellen Moore offense was very good for him, as a lot of people speculated that it would be. I don't think they're going to turn into a defensive juggernaut. So I think the pass volume will still be there. They've got big questions at running back. Maybe they draft Jeremiah Love and that changes the field just a little bit. But I think you're probably going to get close to 170 targets from Olave. And I think you're going to get low end top 12 performance.
All right. Jamie, you also have Olave and Wilson at 11 and 12 with AJ Brown 10. And Dave, yours, I can't see. Who was your 10 through 12 again?
Jetta, Rashee Rice, Garrett Wilson.
I guess, how are we approaching Justin Jefferson, Dave?
I'm expecting him to go back to being a high volume target getter. I'm encouraged by the fact that he averaged over 16 PPR points per game in 5 games with Carson Wentz. The Vikings are already saying that they want quarterback competition. To me, that's code for JJ McCarthy isn't their guy. And so whoever they bring in probably will be the odds-on favorite. If he's at least as good as Carson Wentz at quarterback, then I think we should have better expectations for Jefferson than what we saw from him over the balance of the 25 season.
All right. Jamie, anything else you want to talk about here, or we can move on?
Yeah, I mean, Jefferson will be in my top 12 if the quarterback situation's fixed. If it's JJ McCarthy again, I'll probably he's still a second-round pick for me, but not in the top 12 wide receivers. I like the other guys better.
Okay. Any other names that showed up, Jamie, or were considered?
Yeah, as you could probably guess, Jacob's list is a little bit different than ours. He has Luther Burden in his top 12. So I can give you what he and Dan had. I think Dan's probably pretty similar to us, but Jacob, let's see, I'm at Dan's right now. Dan, the only one that's different for Dan's the only one that has Pickens in his top 12. So he has Pickens at 12. So Dan goes Puka, Chase, Lamb, JSN, St. Brown, Neighbors. That's his top 6. Puka, Chase, Lamb, JSN, St. Brown, Neighbors. Jefferson 7, Nico Collins 8, Chris Olave 9, Drake London 10, Rashee Rice 11, and George Pickens 12. So Pickens in his top 12. And then for Jacob, he has Chase number 1, Puka 2, JSN 3, Neighbors 4, St. Brown 5, Lamb 6. So Chase, Puka, JSN, Neighbors, St. Brown, and Lamb. Then he goes Drake London 7, Nico Collins 8, George Pickens 9. I'm sorry, Jacob also has Pickens. George Pickens 9, Luther Burden 10, Tedero McMillan 11, and Chris Olave 12. And so just so you know that Jacob practices what he preaches, in our half PPR mock draft, he took McMillan in round 2.
Okay. McMillan, I feel like Chris Olave.
I'm sorry, he took him in round 3. Excuse me, round 3.
I feel like Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson are kind of cautionary tales for Tedero McMillan. You would hope that Bryce Young is better than what those guys have dealt with in their career. But it's a pretty run-heavy offense. I mean, I don't know. He usually throws 31, 32 passes. So the talent's there for sure for McMillan. But will there be enough production? Just don't know.
My approach with the Panthers wide receivers as of now will probably be to just target Jalen Coker late.
Right.
All right, folks. We're going to take a break, and we're going to tell you what to think about this weekend's schedule, who we like, who we don't like, how cold is it going to be in Chicago, and will that matter for Matthew Stafford? We'll be right back on Fantasy Football Today.
The new era of UFC on Paramount Plus comes out swinging. Show-stopping highlight machine Justin Gaethje collides with Liverpool phenom Paddy Pimblett in a must-see main event for the interim lightweight belt.
This is how I get down.
And Hall of Famer Amanda Nunes returns.
She's the best ever.
To take on bantamweight champion Kayla Harrison in the biggest women's title fight of all time. UFC 324, Saturday, January 24th, only on Paramount Plus.
The first thing to know about this weekend's slate is the top 4 defenses in the NFL are playing in this slate. Seattle first. This is in points per game allowed, by the way. Houston second. Denver third. New England fourth. So 2 of those teams are facing each other. Houston at New England. Denver hosting Buffalo. Seattle hosting San Francisco. Just a couple of weeks ago, Seattle held San Francisco to, I think, their worst output in the Kyle Shanahan era. It was an ugly, ugly game for them, but they didn't have Trent Williams in that game, and they didn't have Ricky Pearsall in that game. They're going to have Williams. They might have Pearsall. So
they won't have Kittle.
They will not have Kittle. That is true. He did play in that game. Tonjes has been very good. I'm sure he's going to be popular. On FanDuel, he's the second most expensive tight end, actually. All right. So we also have cold weather. Very cold in Chicago. And it's going to be cold in New England as well. It's going to be nice in Seattle, apparently, according to Kevin Roth. And Denver, I think like 40 degrees or something, but nothing to really be too concerned about. So, Jamie, who do you like? I mean, which offense do you think we should target for the slate?
I like Chicago's passing game a lot based on the Rams' secondary and lack thereof in terms of their performance over the course of the season. So Caleb Williams and Colston Loveland's an easy stack to build if you're doing DFS. Obviously, Loveland is on fire right now. Curious Heath's take on the top 2 rookie tight ends, because I think they're going to go both ahead of Tyler Warren at this point. If maybe Loveland is past Fannin in his heart of hearts, but I mean, Loveland is just playing out of his mind. So you can go. Williams is relatively cheap by comparison to Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford. So Loveland is going to cost you a little bit, but still, I think, worth it. And then Burden, I know, is not coming off a great game in the first performance where everybody was healthy, but still a lot to love about his situation, the way he's been playing. And I think, again, the matchup is great. So I think really anybody from the Bears passing attack is worth taking a look at DFS-wise. I think also, you play the Rams guys too, even in maybe poor weather, but Stafford should be, okay. He's played in Chicago enough times in his career. With Detroit, and Puka's just on fire. So it's an easy sort of counter stack, however you want to, go about that. The 2 running backs that I like the most would be Zach Charbonnet, just because I think he's, playing better than Ken Walker at this point, and easy to sort of, lean on him. And Ramondre Stevenson, I know he's not going to run well, but I think his involvement in the passing game is huge here. And then RJ Harvey also, so you got, 3 running backs here. You can avoid McCaffrey, avoid James Cook, given their potential matchups and potential struggles. If you're looking to go a little bit cheaper from, build standpoint, those are 2 guys I think I would lean on for sure. 3 guys I would lean on.
Yeah, I don't know about on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, Ramondre is more expensive than Travion now. Charbonnet is more expensive than Ken Walker. So
I've only done DraftKings lineup so far, so I haven't gotten to FanDuel yet today.
Okay, I have a FanDuel lineup. And if you used my FanDuel lineup last week, you were probably pretty pissed off at me until the Texans got their second defensive touchdown. And then I know I won my 50-50. You probably won yours too. That was a big swing on Monday night.
I had 7 lineups on the site last week. I'll have 6 this week.
My goodness. And I just have 1 for the full slate. Heath, what are you thinking?
I would just like to see if anybody in the chat has ever used Adam Azer's DFS lineup in a 50-50. Like, I'm just trying. I'd like to know the individual who's out there who's saying,
I have.
The individual who's saying, I want to go play a 50-50 where I could almost double my money, and I'm going to use Adam Azer's lineup because I could see using it in like a DF or like a tournament, like trying to be contrarian or just like do something no one else would do. Oh yeah, I'll use that Azer's lineup.
Yeah, maybe Marone would do that, but the real Adam does not do things that other people wouldn't do. Sorry. If I have a little energy, it's because I did make $4 last week with that DFS lineup. So there you go.
You can buy half of your crappy bagel that you love.
Yeah. I think I might get that today, but not with the cinnamon raisin. Very hungry. All right. Dave, who do you like this week?
I want to focus on some contrarian names, and I would start with Seattle. Jamie talked about Zach Charbonnet. I would consider Sam Darnold because the 49ers, the one thing they just have not been able to do is get pressure on the quarterback. And I still think that that's going to be the case. Offensive line's getting healthier for Seattle. I think that you can make a case for Darnold. I don't know what his prices are, but if he's, the 6, 7,
He's the more cheaper quarterbacks. I think it's
okay. Is he like, he's not going to be a top 5 quarterback in terms of salary?
Well, so on FanDuel, it goes like this. Allen, 9,000, Stafford, 8,300, Drake May, 8,000, Caleb, 7,800, Purdy, 77, Bo Nix, 74, Sam Darnold, 73. So he's 7th out of 8. And CJ
7th out of 8, but you might be inclined to spend a few more shekels to get one of those other QBs ahead of him, and I wouldn't blame you for it.
But the nice thing about doing that is because JSN's expensive, so you balance the quarterback price with the receiver price,
right?
And and to your point, Dave, like you're looking contrarian. Adam brought this up. Like my favorite 49ers play is Tonjes. So you get him very cheap at that spot, or like I built some lineups where he's the flex. So you're playing 2 tight ends,
double tight end action.
Yep. So it's easy to sort of stay away from like McCaffrey, and if you want to go Jennings as the next best, 49ers skill player, Tonjes in the one game that we saw was awesome, 9 for 60 and a touchdown.
Right. Seattle's struggled with tight ends all year. So Tonjes, I think, will be popular, even though he is the second most expensive tight end behind Colson.
I do not believe that's the case on DraftKings, though.
Okay, I'm trying to get into my DraftKings account. I can't find my password. Do you guys know it? I think it's
this is completely on brand.
Yeah. Big Kane to
exclamation point.
Oh, I got it. I found it. Okay. All right. Anyway, anything else you wanted? I kind of cut you off, Dave. Anything
so
else?
The other name that came to mind was Drake May, and I think a lot of people are going to be scared to death to put Drake May in their DFS lineups because he's taking on Houston and because he's expensive and you're not quite sure who to stack with him or even if you should stack him. But I think that's what makes him contrarian. He actually has thrown the ball well. When he's been pressured this year, he's thrown the ball well. When he's had to get the ball out fast, we saw last week that he's more than willing to use his legs. It wouldn't surprise me if the Patriots win on the strength of Drake May, much more so than anything with their running backs.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you could stack him with Hunter Henry. He's been playing very well lately. You could also, again, if you want to go a different kind of stack, Stevenson's been so good in the passing game. You sort of play those two together, not necessarily worry about Ramondre from a running perspective. You counter that with Christian Kirk's going to be popular coming off the game that he just had, but he's still cheap enough that he's almost like a free space because if Nico's out, that's something you can look at. And especially if Christian Gonzalez is not going to play, then you have Jaden Higgins at your disposal, Jalen Noel at your disposal. Like there's a lot of different ways you can go with Stroud's receivers to sort of counterbalance the play there with the Patriots. I think one of the more fascinating things is do you want to trust a Denver receiver? Because, Buffalo secondary a little bit beat up right now. Can anybody confidently step up? Now, Cortland Sutton makes the most sense because of what he's done with his body of work. But he also is probably going to be where Benford goes and might be a little bit of a challenge. So could we get and I think this is to your point, Dave, about being playing some contrarians, like any of the other 3 Broncos guys can be good this week, with what Sean Payton does. So you get Pat Bryant, you get Troy Franklin, you get Marvin Mims. They're all cheap, as you would expect. And one of those guys may pop off and have the, I don't want to say Christian Kirk type of game, but, make a few splash plays here. And then it ends up being, very worth the value.
On the Texans wide receiver front, and when you talked about Nico, this went right into my head. And then when you talked about Christian Kirk too, Xavier Hutchinson has 3 games this year with 13 or more PPR points. 2 of them came when Nico was out. I feel like he's their guy in terms of added playing time, added targets, added everything when Nico Collins is out. So if it's clear that Nico is not going to play, and I can't imagine that his price tag is expensive, that would be the Texans wide receiver, at least one of them that I would put into my lineup as well.
Heath, your thoughts?
Yeah, I've got a Josh Allen, Christian McCaffrey, Puka Nacua lineup. So you're gonna need some cheap guys there. I've got Blake Corum as I think either he or Monangai as the backup running back that I wish would stop getting so many touches. I stacked Allen up with Keon Coleman and Dawson Knox, get a couple touchdowns from those guys that are dirt cheap. I've got Luther Burden in there, Pat Bryant, and then the 49ers defense because it's Sam Darnold in the playoffs.
Fair enough. By the way, Jamie, Jake Tonjes, second most expensive on FanDuel at tight end, 8th most expensive tight end on DraftKings. So if you want to play Tonjes,
that'll be popular.
DraftKings is the place for you. So I guess the question is, right, we do have these great defenses. Do you want to start your Bills? Do you want to start any Bills? Do you want to start any 49ers? Do you want to start anyone in the Patriots-Texans game other than it just being a contrarian play? Do you like anyone on Houston, New England, San Francisco, or Buffalo this week, Heath?
I still like McCaffrey, and like if you go back and listen to my picks for the games, I basically just picked the better quarterback to win each of these games. And so I as good as Denver's defense is, I really don't think if we get to the fourth quarter and the Bills are behind, the Broncos are going to stop Josh Allen. I just think that, and that's kind of my view for most of the rest of the playoffs. He's the best quarterback left in the playoffs. They may shut him down for a half, but he's going to be the guy. Dave is a little bit stumped by my Josh Allen being the best quarterback left in the playoffs, I think.
Really not.
Okay. So I think it might be one of those games where Josh Allen has 8 fantasy points in the first 2.5 quarters and then scores 22 in the final quarter and a half.
Right. Do we like the let's do what we did last week. I'll tell you the team and you tell me you think they're going to put up points. Bills at Broncos.
Yes.
I think all of these games are all going to be in the 20s. So for each side. So
low 20s.
I mean, 24, 21, 27, 24. Like, I don't think we're
not getting a 37-35 game.
Yeah.
If we do, I would bet on that being Rams Bears.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, but the weather's not conducive to that.
Right.
And
the wind.
If there's a game that neither team reaches 20, I think it's obviously, for me at least, Texans Patriots.
Yep.
Agreed.
Right. Broncos. You think the Broncos are going to put up points against the Bills?
21 to 24.
If they stick with the run, I think they can. I just don't know if A, they will, because that was Jacksonville's downfall last week. And B, it's RJ Harvey's been great for fantasy. He just hasn't been efficient as a runner. So if they really stick with him, he could catch 3 or 4 passes. He can find the end zone. Yeah, I think he's good for DFS. Do I think that means that the Broncos are going to get to 24 points? I'm not so sure.
And somebody asked in the chat, my lineup was on FanDuel. I don't know if that grouping would even work on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, you can get that lineup in.
Do we like the 49ers at Seattle?
No.
I don't want to stack them, but I do. Again, I think Purdy's the best quarterback in that game. And I think Shanahan will probably find a way to get some points on the board, but I don't think they're going to have a high scoring day because I'm not sure they need to.
All right. Do we like the Seahawks against the Niners?
I don't.
I do. To the extent of, I think if you're trying to play a cheap quarterback, Darnold makes a lot of sense. And I like Charbonnet a lot. I like JSN a lot, obviously. And I think if you're looking for an alternate tight end, Barner comes into play too. Plus, you could see one of Shaheed or Kupp doing something where it's worth their price because they're so cheap.
I wonder if a rested run game makes the difference for Seattle. And it's always a gamble starting Kenneth Walker III. I think I'd rather start Charbonnet too when it comes to DFS. But this 49ers run defense, even if Fred Warner's back, I know he's not going to be at 100%. I think Seattle can take advantage, and those running backs could be the big reason why.
Okay. Do we like, New England, Houston, we expect it to be a low scoring game. And if you were going to put any Texan in your lineup, not someone from the States, like someone on the team.
Hutchinson.
I
really would.
I think on FanDuel, I might go Dalton Schultz. He's 5,300. He's only 300 more than Dawson Knox. So
if you don't want to play Kirk, who's going to be probably the most popular for me, it'd be Jaden Higgins.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Okay. And the Rams Bears, it's the highest total, 48.5. Jamie, you started out talking about how you like Caleb Williams. I mean, you don't like them. If cost weren't a thing, you like the Rams passing game.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean,
and that's the one, right? That's the one.
Yeah. If for me, like, so I rank, it's on the site now. I do this every Monday, Tuesday, depending on when the games are done for the playoffs for years. So I have the divisional round rankings as Allen as QB1, Stafford as QB2. Caleb for me is QB3.
Allen, Stafford, Caleb. Okay. All right. So then let me ask, I'll throw out a few players and you just tell me like start, sit basically, or given that they're going to be expensive. James Cook against the team that's number one against running backs.
I think he's more contrarian than anything else.
I would be interested in starting him.
Yeah.
I feel like Denver's defense has gotten a little worse as we've gotten to the finish line. And Buffalo's offensive line is like, it's their secret strength. We know Josh Allen is their real strength.
I think that, by the way, one of the contrarian plays is Bo Nix. I don't even know if we've said his name yet. He's been pretty bad for 2 months.
I'm nervous about him against this defense.
But this defense,
that's why he's contrarian, though.
I think with the Jordan Poyer injury really does scare me. Maybe I'm making too much of it, but also the cornerback Hairston, who plays a little bit, he's out. I don't know. I'm not sure that I don't know that I buy the Bills defense. This was a team that you could never score 20 fantasy points on at quarterback. Starting to change a little bit, I think.
Well, Trevor had a great fantasy day, and that's factoring in 2 interceptions.
Right.
So
3 touchdowns against them.
Yeah.
And I think when Poyer left, it really made a difference. So
I agree 100% with Heath's breakdown of the game, but I think you're right, Adam. Like we could see a decent Bo Nix game. He's always been better at home. In his 2 years so far in the NFL, I shouldn't say always, but in the 2 years he's been in the league, he's been better at home. And so, you're trusting Sean Payton with 2 weeks to prepare. There's a lot to like about this, and wouldn't shock me if Denver wins this game. Buffalo, first time Josh Allen's won a road game was last week. And again, it took Trevor Lawrence and some turnovers to make that happen.
All right. Any other? Cortland Sutton. He's been a little cold lately. But how do we feel about Sutton? And how do we feel about Diggs? Who would you rather spend on? Because they're similarly priced. Diggs, by the way, 84% route participation rate, 85% against the Chargers. That's huge. I think that's a season high. Yeah, no, second highest of the season. But maybe they were just saving him for this moment. The Texans, great against receivers, but they're 19th. I think they allow the 19th most yards to slot receivers. Diggs is usually in the slot. So Diggs or Sutton, Dave, who's a better play?
I'd rather chance it on Sutton. Or I'm sorry, on Diggs. I don't know why I said Sutton.
I think it's pretty close. Heath, Diggs or Sutton?
When I was building my lineup, I didn't really consider either one. On FanDuel, Diggs is $500 less, so that'd probably be enough for me to go with him. I think Shakir, who's just a little cheaper than Diggs, I'd probably rather play than Diggs.
Okay. All right, Heath, give me that lineup one more time.
Oh, yes. I had Josh Allen, Christian McCaffrey, Blake Corum, Puka Nacua, Luther Burden, Keon Coleman, Dawson Knox, Pat Bryant, and the 49ers defense.
That's on FanDuel.
Yeah.
Jamie, give me a lineup or two.
You have to read it on the site.
Okay. Scott Fish is in the house. He says, I exclusively use Adam's lineups. I love them. Unrelated. Jamie, can I borrow some money? Just a little to get by until one of these hit. I got $4, Scott. Your name on it. My FanDuel lineup. I have a FanDuel and a DraftKings lineup. They're both pretty incredible, especially the DraftKings lineup. FanDuel is Caleb. Heath, I also have Corum because we got to save a little money. RJ Harvey. I mean, Bills' run defense better lately, but still vulnerable. Do we like Harvey this week, guys?
I think his cost, he's worth it. Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. Caleb, Corum, Harvey. I have Puka Nacua. I have Cortland Sutton and Luther Burden. But you could go Jaden Higgins if you want. You could go any of the Texans guys, assuming Nico is out. I went with Burden. And then I have Ricky Pearsall as my flex, Jake Tonjes at tight end, and the Patriots DST. Caleb, Corum, Harvey, Puka, Sutton, Burden, Pearsall at flex, Tonjes, Patriots. On DraftKings is fun because Tonjes really opens things up because he's so cheap. And if the 49ers DST, Heath, you said you expired. I just did this lineup 2 seconds ago. You inspired me, Heath, with your take on Sam Darnold in the playoffs. Dave, you told me to start Hutchinson. So my cheap guys are Tonjes, Niners DST, and Hutchinson. I have Stafford, Puka, and Adams. Okay, I got a Ram stack there.
I got one of those too, yeah.
What's that?
I have one of those too, yeah.
Yeah. With Zach Charbonnet and RJ Harvey and James Cook. Holy cow, what a lineup. You sitting down? Matthew Stafford, RJ Harvey, James Cook, and Zach Charbonnet. Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, and Xavier Hutchinson. Jake Tonjes and the Niners DST. Wow. You're welcome. And this is, I think this is a double up, actually. So
You and Scott Fish are going to make
it's a $1 league. So I'm going to win, I think, 90. No, I'm going to win $1. All right. Man.
There was a great comment about using your lineups in DFS, but I'm not sure it's appropriate for the stream. It's 2026. I think the bid is over.
Oh, that was so childish.
Yeah, I know. So that's why I didn't put it, but I think it was great.
Yeah. And we banned him.
Yep. Sorry.
He must have responded because I said, chill with the language. He must have said something pretty bad and he got banned. And he'd been saying some bad stuff earlier too. Like not
okay.
Yeah, kept calling me a name that he shouldn't have been calling.
Yeah, that's not okay. No name calling.
Oh no, now Matthew's on me too. Says I'm being annoying and I'm a moron.
Well, that's the same guy.
What'd you say?
I think that's the same guy.
I don't think so. Anyway.
Yeah,
right,
he just said he's unbanned. Same guy.
Great ending to the show. Oh, it's the same guy?
Yeah. I may have to reban.
Yeah, dude, you're kind of a loser. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, what, you come in here and just calling me names, and then you get in another account and call me more names? Like, come on.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the games. No show on Monday. We will talk to you on Tuesday on Fantasy Football Today. See you then.
Go Canes.